The year was 1519 when a fleet of 11 ships, led by Hernán Cortés, arrived on the shores of Mexico. Cortés, an ambitious Spanish conquistador, was determined to conquer new lands and amass wealth. Upon landing, he quickly learned of the riches of the Aztec Empire and its ruler, Montezuma II. The Spaniards marveled at the intricate society and stunning architecture, unaware of the tumultuous changes they were about to bring. Cortés realized that the Aztecs were neither loved nor respected by the surrounding tribes due to their practice of human sacrifice. He cunningly forged alliances with some tribes, including the Tlaxcalans, who suffered under Aztec rule. This strategic move was pivotal for Cortés as he gathered intelligence, warriors, and resources necessary for the upcoming battles against Montezuma's vast army. Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztec Empire, was breathtaking when Cortés first laid eyes on it. Built on an island in Lake Texcoco, the city's gleaming temples and canals were awe-inspiring. Cortés was both impressed and intimidated by the sheer size and organization of the metropolis, and understood that his ambitions would require not just brute force, but strategic prowess. Montezuma II initially tried diplomacy to handle the arrival of the Spaniards. He believed Cortés might be a returning god, as per Aztec prophecy. Montezuma sent gifts of gold, hoping to appease the foreigners. However, the gifts only fueled Cortés's greed while convincing him of the endless treasures the empire might hold. Cortés reciprocated with gifts and seemingly respectful gestures, but his eyes were set on conquest. Cortés and his entourage embarked on a perilous journey toward the heart of the empire. It was a journey fraught with danger and diplomacy, as the Spaniards navigated through lush jungles and rugged terrains while confronting hostile and friendly natives. With each step, they grew nearer to Tenochtitlan, more confident with their growing number of native allies. Upon entering the capital, Cortés and his men were initially welcomed by Montezuma II, who extended the hospitality of his empire with a grand reception. The Spaniards were allowed within the city walls and marveled at the opulence surrounding them. The tensions simmered beneath the surface, though, as Cortés planned his next moves, aware of the empire's fragility despite its grandeur. Tensions finally came to a head when Cortés decided that to control the city, he needed leverage. He engineered a plot to seize Montezuma II, holding him as a hostage within his own palace. The Aztec ruler was deprived of his power, and Cortés attempted to govern through him, using him as a puppet leader to quell any uprisings. The Aztec people, deeply disturbed by their king's capture, grew restless. Tensions erupted into violence as the population revolted against the Spanish intruders, sparking chaos in the streets of Tenochtitlan. The city's balance teetered dangerously, making diplomacy next to impossible and foreshadowing a long siege. Cortés wasn't prepared for the fierce resistance shown by the Aztecs and their determined warriors. Many Spanish soldiers fell during the battles, and Cortés was forced to rely heavily on his native allies to survive. The fighting was brutal and relentless, challenging his forces physically and mentally. A night etched into memory as La Noche Triste, or the Night of Sorrows, when the Spaniards and their allies attempted a desperate retreat from Tenochtitlan. Pursued relentlessly by Aztec warriors, many were slaughtered, drowning as they crossed frail bridges over the city's canals. Cortés himself narrowly escaped, left grieving for the loss of men and mortified by his first major defeat. After the devastating retreat, Cortés regrouped with his surviving force on the outskirts. The events of La Noche Triste had left them battered and weary. Using the alliances he painstakingly built, Cortés sought reinforcements, determined to return with more men and artillery for a decisive strike against an emboldened Aztec defense. With learned insights and fresh resolve, Cortés constructed new plans to retake Tenochtitlan, determining every logistical need, including boats for lake navigation and acquiring horses from Cuba. The Spaniards prepared meticulously for what would be their final assault on the empire's capital. The siege, lasting several months, was marked by brutal and systematic warfare. Spanish forces launched several attacks, weakening the Aztec defenses incrementally. Cortés's strategy included cutting off supplies, isolating the Aztecs, and spreading diseases that devastated the native population. Under siege, the Aztecs faced starvation and epidemics, with smallpox reducing their numbers tragically. Their will was strong, but their resources dwindled. The once thriving metropolis deteriorated rapidly, transforming into a symbol of resilience desperately clinging to survival. Tenochtitlan crumbled under sustained attack. The canals ran red with the blood of warriors who passionately fought till their last breath. Cortés's forces slowly advanced into the city's heart, confident of their inevitable victory. Cortés commanded the final assault with precision. The exhausted Aztec warriors, outnumbered and outgunned, offered valiant resistance but faced impending defeat. The siege reached its climax as Spanish soldiers breached the inner sanctum, marking the fall of a great empire. Montezuma II, once a revered leader, found his legacy tainted by the conquest. He died under mysterious circumstances, either killed by his people who viewed him as a traitor or succumbing to wounds inflicted by his captors. His decline mirrored that of his empire as Spanish control tightened.